All right, so is the MAHA, or Make America Healthy Again movement, dead? Well, first of all, as I said from the beginning here, this is going to be a uphill battle for sure. And hats off to Robert F. Kennedy for sort of adopting this politically and for bringing it to the national awareness. This is something that myself and others have been talking about now for, well over a decade. We do need to do something to address the health of Americans. I mean, it's not even in any way a mystery. We have so many sick people, that's for sure. Recent events, some of you guys may have seen in the news, there was a judge that, basically put on hold a West Virginia plan to remove food dyes from the food supply, right? And this is something that a lot of people say, well, food dyes are, it's kind of a small potatoes type of thing, realistically, when it comes to the grand scheme of things, what's making people unhealthy. But the reality here is such a small, almost symbolic victory, which is what the food dye thing really was. When they said that we're going to remove this stuff, 2028 is when that's supposed to go into effect. Interestingly, 2028 will be when we have a new president elected, right? And so, it may just be purely symbolic. It may never even go into actual practice, depending on what goes on. But a judge has put a stop to that. West Virginia tried to enact that with their law in 2028, and a judge says, no, this is potentially not constitutional. And this is from a small, this was prompted by the American Food Coloring Manufacturers Association or something along those lines. This is a organization that doesn't have that much money. I mean, they have, a decent amount, obviously enough to hire lawyers, but can you imagine what will happen when the big boys get involved? When pharmaceutical industry and major food manufacturers are being pressured, they will fight back legislatively, through federal judges and so on and so forth for years and years and years. And so the reality of making these sweeping changes, what many of us would like to see, is not really much of a likely reality, in all honesty. I mean, if we look at, a couple other things, for instance, there was a time we were talking about, hey, we're gonna ban pharmaceutical advertisements on TV, right? And the utility of that is not so much that, we shouldn't see advertisements from these pharmaceutical companies, but the pharmaceutical companies buy access, influence, and power through their advertising. They run the narrative on news programs, on programming. This is something that, because of that, they put their drugs in movies and TVs and TV shows and of course on the news programs, and they run basically PR propaganda for their stuff due to their advertising power. And the fact that people are saying, oh, well, we're not going to do this because it's a First Amendment violation. But you look at cigarette smoking.
For the best combination of filter and good taste, Kent satisfies best.
Cigarette smoking has been banned on TV for decades, right? Same thing with a lot of these other alcohol and things like that. We've limited access for those companies, but somehow the drug companies are immune to that because of, quote unquote, the First Amendment, which, again, I don't see how it is a First Amendment violation. I mean, like I said, no one's suppressing your ability to talk about drugs. Anyway, so we have a number of obstacles to the whole so-called Make America Healthy Again on a governmental, national level. And, this is just the beginning. And realize that the only reason this is even being discussed and talked about, and some of these legislative proposals are being made, or some of these, executive orders or whatever they might be, are in place because the current administration favors that. Now, other administrations, and this is what these companies know, they say, hey, let's wait it out for a couple of years. Wait out 2 years till the midterm elections, wait out 4 years till the next presidential election, let's stall, let's delay things in courts, let's make token conciliations just to sort of take the pressure off for a little while and go back to business as usual. I mean, that is the most likely scenario. All right, well, so where does that leave all of us? We're the guys in the middle here, our kids, and we're suffering from, the worst chronic disease epidemic in the history of humanity, basically. And it's manufactured. I mean, there's a reason for this, and much of it is, our environment, our food environment, our overall environment. These are the things that are making us sick, and we know that. And, when it comes to, lots of people sick versus making a lot of profit tends to win. So it comes down to you, you guys and me and others like me to do the right thing. I mean, this is what it is. I mean, we have to sort of, as I've said many, many times, you have to stop giving money to those people that are poisoning you. Stop buying the garbage food. Support organizations like what we're doing at Rivera that are there designed to help people, to empower people, to fix this stuff. We are reversing disease on a daily basis. We're getting people healthy so that they can progress to these types of things. And I have meetings with all of the Rivera patients, basically once or twice a week to talk about some of this stuff. Our physicians are trained in this stuff. They want to get to the root cause. Their goal is to get you off medication. This is the way we make America healthy again. The realities of a governmental intervention having any major significant benefits is going to be limited at best. At best small, basically token changes that'll be reversed over time. I've been around long enough to not put much faith in the government. I don't care who's in power, right? I mean, it's just such a quagmire bureaucracy, so many conflicts of interest. Those will never go away. They'll always be there. There may be a little bit less in one administration versus others, but it's always the underlying thing. It's always about making money, of course, and it always will be. That's never going to change. So you have to take personal sovereignty. You have to have, and as I mentioned many, many times, you have to adopt the mindset that you're no longer going to be sick. And, people make fun of you and people call you a quack and people say, oh, you're orthorexic or you're weird because you don't adopt the norm, the standard, the standard sick model. And if we look at it, through any other course in time and history, and lots of other places in the world, it's not normal to accept the sickness, the illness, the corporatization, the consumerism that is so rampant right now and driving so much of the illness. It's not that technology is necessarily bad. It's not that, living in a air-conditioned and heated home is bad. It's not that being able to have a car or some sort of transportation is bad. But there is a point where it affects your health negatively. And we have to realize that, and we have to say, no more. I'm done with that. And that's, basically what I've done. That's what I encourage others to do. And it's, and there's different paths to get there. But all of it kind of converges around the same sort of basic tenets and principles. All right. Well, let me know what you guys think in the comments. What do you think about Make America Healthy Again? Where's it going to come from? Is RFK going to be successful and radically reform our healthcare system? Or is it going to be a series of half compromises, which will be basically probably forgot about and rescinded with the next administration? Regardless of what you think, it's on you guys, right? You guys are the ones that are going to make yourself healthy again, make your family healthy again. And as we all come together, we can make a difference. I truly believe we can make a difference. That is for sure.